And we're live now.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Almost.
Yeah, it's live. It says it's
It is.
live.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. It is now time to start our live discussion with Mr. Bill Whitfield, author of Remember the Time. This has been a very highly anticipated event in our Facebook group, the Michael Jackson Book Club. Thank you all for spreading the message about this event. And I just want to say hi. My name is Stephanie Murray. I'm coming from the US. We have Jeanette from the UK. We have Tammy
Hi.
from Canada. And we are the admins of the Michael Jackson Book Club group. And we are honored today to present to you Mr. Bill Whitfield. He was a former police officer, and he worked in and continues to work in executive security and protection. And of course, he protected the life of our favorite person in the world, Michael Jackson, and he's here to share his experiences with us. So thank you, Bill, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's certainly great and a blessing to be amongst his fans. That certainly was, I think, it's certainly an inspiration to my book.
Absolutely. So I can say with confidence that Remember the Time is pretty high up there on fans' favorites books about Michael Jackson, because it's written with such honesty and sincerity, and we can tell that, Bill, that you really cared for this person. You know, you even say in your book that at some point you kind of crossed the line of, you know, just being an employee and a protector. You sort of broke protocol because you cared about this man.
Absolutely.
And so it really came through in the book. And I guess you might have heard that in the MJ world, the MJ fan world, there's been a lot of, we've been talking a lot about really protecting the legacy of Michael and really showing who he was as a person, his true personality. You may have heard that Tom Mesereau, his lawyer, has been collecting stories of Michael's acts of kindness and generosity, and you highlight a bunch of those in the book. There's that one story about how he gave money to the homeless. We've heard that he used to buy out bookstores because he wanted to create a charity for kids where he would give out books. Could you tell us a little bit more about that part of him and a little bit of how his generosity inspires you today to continue to be charitable? Because you do a lot of stuff with your own company too.
Absolutely. You know, like everyone, I was a fan. You know, I was a fan of Michael Jackson and his music. Okay, growing up, I still have some 33s and 45s of, you know, the Jackson 5 records. And once I became in the position to work for him, I mean, I've been in personal security for almost 25 years, and I worked with a lot of different celebrities, you know, the list goes on, but he was certainly someone that I never expected to work for, to have the opportunity. And when that opportunity came, and it was interesting, it was supposed to be a short deal. It was supposed to be at point A to point B, drop off and call it a day. That was the detail that I was told. But it became an unexpected journey. And just through over time, when we would either be driving, just fast forward a little bit, just driving around, driving in the streets, and especially being in Las Vegas, you know, you see the glitz and the glamour of the lit up hotels and casinos. He was amazed that there was homeless people in Las Vegas, as rich of a town it is, or appears to be. He was amazed, and he asked me, is there an area where a lot of homeless people reside? And I said, yeah. I like to think almost every city has one. And he was surprised that Vegas had one, and he wanted to go there one morning. And so, okay, sure. We made arrangements to go the next morning, and we drove up. I mean, there was maybe about 500 on this one particular block, close to 500 people just living in the street, just had their tents and blankets set up, cardboard boxes. And he was surprised at that. And he would look, and he made a few comments, you know, about just the world could be better, should be better, you know. And but he called this one particular young lady over and asked her, you know, he put the window down, maybe about 2 inches. She couldn't see who he was. So put the window down, he spoke, he asked her a lot of questions like, what did she used to do? And, you know, ironically, she used to be a dancer in one of the shows in Vegas.
Wow.
You know, and becoming homeless, and the show would either close, shut down, and, you know, they bring in younger dancers and things happen. And after she explained her story, you know, a few tears started to come from her eyes. You sitting there in the driver's seat while I was in the passenger seat, while I was in the driver's seat, and it's hard not to feel the hurt or the sadness in someone else's story, and knowing that's not how you're living your life, but just knowing someone is living that way. And he told her, you know, God bless you, everything will be fine. He would always tell people, whether they were Jehovah's Witness or not, he would say, Jehovah will look out for you. He would say things like that. So he pulled out some money, passed it through the window. I mean, and she couldn't believe it. She first asked, was the money real?
Aw.
Again, the whole time she never knew who he was. And just to see him doing this, and we're doing this outside of cameras, outside of the press, outside of the media. And this was coming from him. He didn't want the camera, the lights, and media people to know about it. This is who he was. And you see that side of him. And then you realize he's also someone that is somewhat timid, not ready to defend himself when certain things happen. We became that. He became, you know, in the world of personal security, I consider it executive protection, what I do. I don't really like the word bodyguard because I think I'm beyond that. I'm just, my training, my background, education exceeds the word bodyguard. But I realize I am his bodyguard right now. You know, I am protecting not only his honor, but I'm protecting his conscience when there's individuals that want to do more to him. And I've seen it, and I've witnessed it. And there's times I've had to step in. You know, there's been times that I've had to step in, not people on the level of on a fan base, but certainly we've had those situations too, but people that that he's doing business with, that I'm noticing something's not right. So I had to step in. I had to confront these people. Because I see what you're doing. You know, so his generosity was something that was huge. I mean, he always wanted, he may have given out one day, probably about $10,000 in cash, just the homeless. I mean, he gave out all that money because I knew how, because we left the house with like a $10,000 stack of $100 bills. And he gave out so much money. I'm sorry?
Was it planned? Because you knew you were going there?
We knew we was going to I was going to show him the side of where the homeless lived.
Oh, okay.
He had that in mind.
I had no idea he was bringing money with him until I seen the $10,000 ring, the money wrapper. Okay, when I seen him pulling that out, and I'm like, and he gave out all that money, and he was so happy to see the reaction on a lot of people's faces. He ran out of money. He looked at us in the front seat. He said, guys, give me some more money. Give me some. And I'm like, we don't know. So the way my money's set up, that's not going to happen. So, but he just wanted to continue that because he saw just for a moment of happiness, whatever they were going to do with that money, hopefully he would tell them, you make sure you buy something nourishing. He would always say that, buy something nourishing. Don't you buy drugs. He would tell them that, don't buy drugs. You get something nourishing. Okay, you sure? You're gonna buy some nourishing, right? You sure now? Okay,
Wow.
he would say, look at me. He would tell these people, look at me. You're gonna buy something nourishing, right?
Wow.
That's who he was. And how could you not want to defend somebody like this?
Well, Mr. Bill, and this is why your book is so important for the fans, because without this book, yeah, this is a pretty intense fan community. Maybe we would have pieced together what he had done in those last 2 to 3 years of his life, but we would have never had those really personal experiences that you had with him. We would have never known those. And so before you started working with Michael Jackson, did you have any like preconceived notions? I mean, the generosity, I think a lot of people knew to some extent about his generosity, maybe not that much, but was there anything else that surprised you once you started working with him? Like some people have this idea that he had this soft voice, but towards the end of his life, his voice was kind of like, I don't know, it seemed normal to me. But like that's one of the things that people were like, well, that's how he is. But what other things did you notice about him that really surprised you and really changed your perception of him?
Certainly the generosity, that part there, seeing how he was with his kids was a real, like, wow, but go back a little bit. Yes, like everyone else, having never met him, but having worked in the entertainment business with different celebrities that I know people, I've heard a lot of things about, and there are some celebrities that I personally know, and I knew a lot of those stories were not true because I was in the we consider it in the bubble. Okay, I was in the bubble, so I knew certain things. But with the whole tabloids, and I always believed he was not guilty of the things he was being allegations. I never believed him, but I was also like, damn, why is he being put in this situation? And I take that on a security level. You know, I would never allow a client to be placed in a certain situation to where it's a compromising situation, or unless you're there, unless you can always vouch what's going on. Okay, so that bothered me about his team. You know, for me, doing security, whenever I hear something about a celebrity, I think about their team. Who the hell is around you? Who's allowing you to be compromised like this? Okay, because a celebrity has so much going on. They really do. Especially Mr. Jackson. Oh my goodness. I mean, one of the sad things was that the majority of phone calls he received was mostly personal. I'm sorry, mostly business. Very few phone calls was to, hey, Mike, how you doing? Happy birthday, Merry Christmas. How the kids doing? Okay, no, we didn't get that because his phone calls had to go through me. He didn't have a phone. Okay, I had to get an additional line on my phone, and that was his phone. So majority of the time, he would tell me to hold the phone because if he kept the phone with him in his room at night, the phone would never stop. He would say, I don't know how to turn it off. He was not savvy when it came to telephones. Okay, so.
You know what? It's interesting that you say that. And we had a question that came in from one of our book club members, Andrew Botane. We know that anyone that communicated with Michael had to go through you, right? There was no way around that. You had his phone, everything like that. You did a lot of interviews last year regarding Leaving Neverland, and there were some claims out there that said that, you know, Wade Robson had met up with Michael during the time that you were watching over him, and you have said that's just not possible. I don't know, Tammy, if you want to elaborate a little bit more with that question.
Well, we know that on Leaving Neverland, they have the stock Photoshop of the Palomino property in Vegas. that's just the stock photo on the website because they have a tour there. I was just there in October, so they have the tour there, and it's pretty easy to get a stock photo. So on Leaving Neverland, they show that living room and that there was a barbecue with his wife Amanda, and that Michael was there, and they had this family barbecue, and the
With
wine
Wade.
he wanted, and he asked for the wine, and he was pouring it in this red dicky or those red cups and chugging it back, and I know that from your book, you were saying that there was no way that people could have, you had the phone. The phone was in your name. Like he didn't even really text or anything. He didn't really have the phone. So that couldn't have happened. As far as you're concerned, that couldn't have happened. It was just this, totally fictitious scene that was put in there.
I tuned into. I was not going to watch the Leaving Neverland thing. I was not, but I had to. I had to, especially when I heard there was times being stated or mentioned that went on during my watch. And I said, no, I'm gonna tune into this thing. And when I tuned in, and the first thing, and I'm thinking from a security standpoint too. So I look beyond, I think a fan would do. And I'm looking for what, having been inside the bubble, I'm looking for that of which anyone that's speaking that closely about Mr. Jackson, they would have been inside the bubble. So I'm looking at this network, this show, this whatever you want to call it, this whole falsified thing, and I'm seeing nothing but pictures from years ago. There are no pictures of the time in which he said there was some barbecue that took place in 2008. That's when anything that went on or supposedly went on before me, I can't speak to. I wasn't there. But when you start speaking on times in which under my watch, in order for you to get inside the bubble, I would have to open the door for you to get in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know this dude. I've never met this dude. His name would still be in my phone.
Right.
Because I still have all the contacts.
Wow.
If somebody asks you if because Tom Mesereau, they're going through process right now with the estate, but if they would ask you, would you provide a deposition just to the fact that couldn't have happened, or in your opinion, would you be willing to do that, or if they actually approached you?
I'd be more than eager to.
Oh, good.
Okay, because again, you're speaking on something that was supposedly took place on my watch.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, and whether it was that somebody asked me, well, could it have been a day you weren't there? I still knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
I knew everything. The team that I had, the team that was around us that would do things in my absence, they would call me first.
Mm-hmm.
And if Mr. Jackson had any form of anything set up where visitors was concerned, I would not have taken no day off to be up for that one. No, I need to make. Now he's exposing himself to people that he hasn't seen in a while. Okay, and first of all, I would have done my background on this dude. I would have found out everything about him, as I always did with anybody that was coming to visit Mr. Jackson. We found out as much information as we needed to. What's going on, as much as we could, whether it was a criminal background, some personality checks. We had to do to find out about anybody that was going to be visiting him or anyone that was going to be especially coming to his home. He didn't allow too many people come to his home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, as well as he knew Babyface and as an artist, and as far as they go back, when Babyface came to town, he called Mr. Jackson, or got in touch with Mr. Jackson, and he wanted to meet up. And sure, not a problem. First thing Mr. Jackson would direct me to do is, Bill, I'm going to be meeting with so-and-so. I need you to arrange a place where we can meet. Okay, sure. Sometimes we would rent out hotel rooms, and that's where he would meet individuals.
Wow. I mean, that's one thing that really stood out to me in the book. It's interesting that you mentioned Babyface. I know it seemed like there was a lot of isolation around that time when you were watching over Michael. it didn't seem like he really met up with a lot of his friends or his celebrity friends or even his family. Um, I know there's a lot of talk in the fan community of whether Michael was even close to his family by that point in his life. Did he reach out to him? We know that his mother was involved and he saw her from time to time. But what really hurt me in the book was when you mentioned his funeral, and you see all those celebrity friends there, but none of them were checking up on him during those last few years of his life. You didn't really see that. And did he, do you, in your opinion, do you think he kind of wanted to stay alone and isolated, or was there like a back and forth, like, yeah, I want to see my friends and family, but then I don't? What was your opinion on that?
Well, having spoken to people, some individuals that were very, very, very close with him, and also from my own observation, the whole child molest allegations destroyed him. Okay, it destroyed him. It did. It destroyed him. I mean, it took a lot out of him. It really did, as a man, and he was a man, and any man that can be even considered in any way, shape, or form of doing something like that to a kid, which is worse than murder in my book.
Mm-hmm.
You are just looked upon totally different. That's not a stain that you can just wipe off, because if the media sets it out the way they wanted to and the way they did, they're going to embed that in people's minds. And he really did not come out to defend himself, or just speak more on this. I know you made an interview one time, he spoke on it, but he didn't do it enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think by him not doing it enough, whatever certain individuals had embedded in their minds, they're going to stick with that and they're going to run with that. So that's the story that's going to be printed. And for me, and seeing that in him, a lot of his friends, a lot of his so-called friends in the entertainment business, I don't want to say turned on him, but they pulled back on their association with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that he had, after the second allegations, that he was acquitted, not guilty anyway, that he had a function. He held a function at Neverland, and a function that should have been at least 200 people. Less than 75 showed up. Okay, so these are people that no longer want to associate themselves with him because they felt that he was guilty. I think they felt that, I don't want to be in his presence because I don't want to be one of those. I don't want the stain on my career to be around him right now. And that is something that it would bother all of us. I would like to think, if you have a conscience, it bothered him. And to me, it destroyed him. I hate when people talk about what do I think killed him? What did he die from?
Yeah.
A lot of things. Stress will kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that took a toll, and I seen it because there was times, we was in Virginia in the mall, and we was walking through the mall, and a bunch of fans screaming, love you. And he's saying, I love you back. And there was this one individual that screamed out, child molester. We identified him, I kept a guy on him just to make sure his distance stayed a distance. So after we got back in the vehicles, we were leaving, driving off, music was playing. He said, Bill, turn down the music. And I turned the music down. He said, I'm gonna ask you guys something. Did you guys hear somebody say something very mean? I looked at BJ, Javon, and I'm shaking my head like to say no.
No, yeah.
No,
Wow.
say no. And I said, no, sir, we didn't hear anything. He said, are you sure? I said, no, sir. He said, okay, I thought I heard somebody say something very mean. Now, for us to have confirmed that,
You'd been embarrassed. Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
We'd have been on the next plane back to Bahrain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And so I was not going to bring that negativity upon him. I was not. So that bothered him. And as we, after we stated that we didn't hear anything, we're driving. Maybe about 10 minutes later, he just blurted out, "I would never hurt a child." And I'm saying to myself, damn, it's like he's still there. Like it's still on his mind. And he said, "I would never hurt a child. I would slit my wrist before I ever hurt a child." And all you could do was just sit there. What do you say?
Yeah.
So that just told me about him a lot. Not that I ever believed anything otherwise. I mean, that ain't dude. That's not dude. I mean, even prior to working for him, and having been in security, one of my first things is I want to do, I'm going to observe him as much I can. I want to see if any of these negative things that people talked about, is this him? Because I'll tell you all, live, whatever fans may or may not like it, if I seen anything that was close to him having any form of feelings, attraction to kids, I'd have kicked his ass myself. And I mean that. I mean that as a father myself. Oh, I mean that. I mean that. And it just no. But that was not dude. That was not him. I mean, that just wasn't his character. I mean, it's like if that's who you are, if you're a drug addict or you're an alcoholic, you can hide that but so long. And I was around him a long time.
Right.
Day in, day out. You could be with if you spend a month with somebody, 30 straight days, you're gonna get to know them quite well. Not 8 hours a day, okay, every day. And they become dependent on you to get this, to buy that, talk to this one. You hear you're part of conversations. He would have meetings with people, and we would pick people up and they would get in the back seat with him, have professional meetings. And I would get out of the car so he can have this little conversation. Sometimes he would say, "Bill, no, I want you to stay in the car." And I'll stay in the car and I hear these conversations, and afterwards he would ask me to weigh in on it. "Bill, what did you think? Do you think," he said, "something about that person? I didn't like them. There's something I didn't trust." And I would give him my vibe on it too. So, you get to know him. And I think I can honestly say I got to know him well enough to know that wasn't him. And to kid, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
What you did see, though, witness, which I'm going to say for part of your book, is that he had you go and meet Dave with some money for him, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's some things that it's like, even though he's been involved in Dave's life for a long time.
Long time.
7
Long
or
time.
5 or whatever it was, but he had you go and give him money, right? Meet him. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I remember when that was. We were staying in New Jersey at the time, because that was around the time we did the Ebony photo shoot at the Brooklyn Museum. We also did the Italian Vogue that same time. This is when we were staying in New Jersey. He was staying at the Cassio's house. And he called me up one morning and he told me to ask me to come to the house. I came to the house. He said, "Bill, I need you to do me a favor." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I need you to go into the city. I need you to meet somebody. And I need you to give them something for me." No problem. He said, "Now, Bill, I want to warn you, when you see this person, it might startle you." And I'm like, "What do you?" Like, okay, like I didn't understand that, because I never met or seen Dave at this time. I heard the name in the news that he'd taken care of or looked out for this boy that went through something with his parents, and I heard something. I heard pieces of the story, but I'd never seen him. So when he told me, "You'll be startled," and I was like, he said something happened to him when he was a child, and I said, "Okay, not a problem." So I had his number. And I called Dave and let him know where I was going to be at. We met right across the street from Madison Square Garden, because I drove into the city. And when he walked up, yeah, I was a little startled because I was, wow, I did not know, I didn't know that he was received such, he was burned, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
90%.
say again?
90% bodily burns.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was, yeah, it was, yeah, and it really did some damage to him. And I felt bad. Like, and then it hit me to where I knew what he was giving him because I could tell the package was wrapped up in so much masking tape, the way he had it wrapped up in newspaper and masking tape, I could tell it was money.
Wow.
So, but when I dropped it off, it was like things like that. Like these are things people would never know,
Mhm.
you know, and people need to know.
That's why your book is
They need to know.
so important. It's so important. And I know that I think it was really an achievement for you to get Lifetime to make the movie because then you have a wider audience seeing the truth of Michael's life. I know on Twitter you said that the movie was originally supposed to be 2 parts, and comparing the book to the movie, there were a lot of things that had to be left out, right?
It was, yeah, the movie was supposed to be 4 hours long
Oh,
and it was supposed to be 2 parts. But
is there anything that you wish had been in the movie, like
a
for
lot.
sure?
There's a lot. There's a lot that I wish had been in the movie. Discussions with his family.
Mhm.
I've had conversations with his family, his older siblings, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, certainly, like his family, all our families, we all have drama within our families.
Yeah.
That made him know he was not invulnerable to having drama in his families, and that's just the way it is. We have disagreements and sibling disputes all the time. You know, please, I have 6 brothers and sisters. I'm not speaking to 2 of them right now, but we'll iron that out. But that's within all families, okay? So he had that, and you know, I didn't find it different any odd, but I had conversations with his family. You know, I had conversations. You know, they would pull me to the side, or sometimes they would call me and they wanted to just talk to me and just me. No, I don't want to talk to my brother. I just want to talk to you. Okay, sure. What's up? They was, listen, look out for my brother. There's going to be people that's going to be trying this and trying that. And to hear that from his family is one end. On one end, you're hearing, I'm being told by people in his management, keep him away from his family. Keep him away from his family. And then when I speak, and I'm like, I don't understand that. But then when I speak to the family, they're loving, they're concerned. You know, yes, there was a situation with his brother Randy, but that was their drama. Okay, that was their drama. Whatever arrangement they had and things didn't happen that way. His approach to it could have been different, certainly, but he had a concern and it definitely could have been handled differently, but that was their drama. So, in my opinion, had his family been closer to him, had they not been pulled away from him, he'd still be here today.
Wow.
Yeah, he seemed very isolated.
Yeah.
And
You know,
I know there.
I believe that.
Yeah. He seemed like you tried to have you tried to give him some normalcy in life. It seemed like through your book you talked about you know, friend in flower, which everybody wants to hear about, of course, who are these girls. But it's nice, or for me anyway, it's nice to have thought that he had somebody special and that he was close to and had that normal part of his life, you know, with a friend. And so otherwise it was you and Javon and that was all that was there, and the kids, of course.
His kids, Grace.
Oh, right, Grace. Yes, the nanny.
Grace and Nanny, which they bickered like brothers and sisters.
Right.
But as for Friend and Flower, it was comforting to us to just hear him engage in conversations outside of business. I mean, they just talked about different songs. You know, they would ask, "Hey, have you heard this song yet?" "No, I haven't heard it." Bill, I need you to get this song, get the song, play it somehow. Oh, have you heard this movie? Have you? And they just, again, they're just engaging in just everyday talk. And it was comforting to hear that, like, because before it was all business, all business. And I mean, no one wants to talk about business all day, every day. So it was comforting to us to know these individuals brought a level of comfort, and certainly normalcy to what made him better, made him feel a lot better.
So do you think you felt better after, from your, it's like in the stories in the book that they kind of had a little date back in the back seat, and they're kissing and all of this little stuff going on, and they walked and they were in DC, right? And
downtown, we were downtown DC.
Yeah, like, was he happy? Was he like, was there a level of like, he was kind of gushing and excited after he would be with friends, and was he happy? Like, we just want to, I just kind of want to know,
Yes.
was he happy?
He was
after?
a jokester. He joked a lot.
Yeah.
He would joke a lot. When we were downtown, we were walking around by the Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Wall, and this is about 2:30 in the morning, so it wasn't too many people down there. He would walk off, well, not walk off to far off to where we could see him, but he would like go around one of the pillars, and as the individual that he was we was with was walking, he would jump out just to scare the shit out of us. Okay, he was just he was that guy. He was just
like the thriller scene.
He would do that, and
she seemed all like they were like, she was like, there was like a back and forth admiration for each other. It sounded like.
Absolutely. It was a friendship. It was a friendship that I witnessed, and that was good to see. It was certainly a friendship that someone that he let his guard down, and was able to kind of just open up. But again, they just talked about everyday things, different songs, different music, different foods, different countries.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And that's the thing. I think it's important to really know that Michael Jackson did have these regular interactions, especially with women, and it really humanizes him, I think, to know that he had these friendships. And so I wonder, just to his image, it's struggling right now, his public image. Do you think if one of these women or both of these women were to come out one day, do you think it would help humanize him more? Do you think that they ever would reveal themselves? Maybe.
First I'll answer, do I think it would help? Mm-hmm. No. No, I don't. And I say that only because, again, who are we trying to convince? Are we trying to convince individuals that are on here, or are we trying to convince the tabloids? Because I look at it to where when I first was trying to get a publishing deal, we were turned down by 36 publishers. Okay, 36 publishers, and each of them had something very positive to say about the manuscript we submitted, but they said that it makes him look like a normal person. So that told me they're not looking to be convinced of nothing. Okay, they just want to continue the trait of wacko jackal, child molester, drugs, children. They want to continue that.
It sells.
So I didn't have that to give you.
Right.
Okay, so especially when ABC News, I tried to get another interview with them, and they told me straight up, Bill, the book is a lovely book. I've read it, it made me cry, but people want to know about the allegations. People, what people? What people you talking about? His fans? No, his fans want to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah,
what people you talking about? You just want to sell stories, and I mean, please, we was offered almost close to $4 million. We had a guy tell us, we don't care what you say, whether it's true or not. Give us something. People are going to believe you anyway. So, because you were there, give us something, whether he had two little boys in a room or not. And we're like, what the fuck? He almost got punched in the face. So just knowing that the fans are already convinced. his fans, his supporters, his followers, they're already convinced. The
Absolutely.
the tabloids and the newspapers, they have their beliefs. A lot of them, I think, are convinced that no, he didn't do none of this stuff. But to sensationalize a story is what they want. Controversy is what sells. So when I got turned down 36 times by those publishers, and that told me I'm not changing a damn thing. I'm not. I'm not trying to do this book and make money. I'm donating all the proceeds. I have a job. I'm gonna be fine. Okay, financially, I'm gonna be okay. I'm writing this book to just get it out there. That last pitch effort we had to get this book deal from a publisher was going to be my last ditch effort. I will write this book myself and I'll post it online if I have to. I'm just gonna get it out there. You know, it's like I have something to say about him and his fans need to hear it. People standing in the corner that's over there wondering, well, I still think he's guilty. Well, you know what? This book ain't for you.
Wow.
Not for you. I'm not trying to prove nothing to you. So back to your question as to these young ladies coming out to mention who they were and the relationship they had with him, would it change anything? No, I don't think so.
Right.
It would then, I think the only thing it would change is their lives as is going to want to know more in detail what they did.
Right.
So it's up to them. I've spoken to, and I just let it be known, Friend and Flower are the names he gave these young ladies.
Yeah.
Those are not their actual names. I do know their actual names because I've had to pick them up from the airport. All right. I booked the reservations. So if or when these young ladies decide to come out, and if they need me to verify who they are, I will certainly do that. But that's up to them.
Like Taz Jackson's putting together a documentary, and I wonder, I don't know who he's approaching, but I was always curious, you know, if he wanted to talk to them, would they talk to him about it? Or, you know, I'm just curious how what you would have thought.
If someone reached out to me and asked me, will I get in touch with them and ask them, would they want to, whatever, I'll make the contact.
Okay.
If they don't want to, that's their choice.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's great to know.
Yeah. And it's like you were like the perfect person for him, like to protect him in his last years. It feels like I just think about, there's that part in your story about you know, when Michael was in the back seat and he's like, oh, check her out, she's hot or cute or whatever. And then he's like, oh, you want to meet her? I love that story. It's so
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that.
But that story that you actually kind of, like, you can say, I would love to hear that story again. It's so adorable.
That was there was several moments we would see women. There was times I would just point a woman out to him and ask about her, and he would say, no, her hair's too short. You know, he would weigh in. I think she's hot, and he thinks she wasn't. Okay, fine. But there was one particular time we was in Georgetown. It was in Georgetown, and we were driving not too far from the university, and there was this nice looking young lady, you know, walking down the street, and he's like, oh, she is so pretty. And I looked over and I seen her, oh, she's pretty. And I said to him, you want to meet her? He said, no. You know, so that's when he gets a little shy. And I said, okay, not a problem. So as I continued driving, I looked in the rearview mirror to see her cross the street. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I don't know whether he's going to be mad or not. I'm going to roll up on her. So I made a U-turn, and he didn't realize I was making a U-turn because he kept the curtain closed in the back where kind of prevented sunlight getting in. So he wasn't aware of my driving. So I know I made a U-turn, and I went back up the street where this young lady was walking up the street. She's walking toward the university. So I pulled over, and he didn't even know I was pulling over. I just pulled over, and I said to the young lady, I said, excuse me. And I said, listen, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have a gentleman in the back seat would like to say hello. And he's saying, Bill, no, Bill, no. And I'm like, listen, we already here. I'm not gonna just drive off from her. So, and she said, excuse me? And she said, well, who is it? I said, would you mind saying hello? And so she stopped. She said, she was standing on the curb. So she wasn't that, maybe 6-7 feet apart, maybe a little more than that. So I said, Ms. Jackson, just say hello to her. He was very resistant because he was nervous now. He was shy, he was nervous, he didn't want to. But I said, Ms. Jackson, just say hello. Just say hello. And he said, fine. So I put the window down and she looked at him and then she looked back at me and she said, you're kidding, right? I said, what do you mean? She said, is that Michael Jackson? I said, yes. And she looked at him. So she came a little close to the car. She said hello. He said hello. And I believe he asked her, did she live around here? And she said, no, I was going up to class or going up to the university. He said, oh, are you in school? And he said, yes. And he asked her, what is she studying? It had something to do with like body, and just from the word, something like body chemicals and DNA, something stuff in body, just something. And, human anatomy is something. And he said, oh, and they just talked a little bit. And I'm saying to myself, Mr. Jackson getting his Mac on, right? so they talked. I said, I said, listen, we have to run. So do you mind if I get your number and give you a call later? And she said, sure. So I took her number, and he said, it was nice meeting you. She said, nice meeting you. And we drove off. And as we drove off, he said, oh my God, Bill, I can't believe you did that. I said, sometimes you just have to go for it.
You had a great instinct, it seems, about things.
You had a great instinct.
You knew what he needed at the time, it seemed. Like that's what I feel from the book.
Listen, I wanted to see him live. I wanted to see him live the normal life as possible. Mm-hmm. Okay, the time when we was in the city and all the, matter of fact, in the same town, late evening, quite a few bars each side of the street, a lot of college kids, a lot of business professionals in the area going in and out of these bars. And Mr. Jackson said, he said, one day I'm going to go in one of these bars and say, bartender, give me a beer. Mm. Shit, I needed a drink too. I said, you want to go now? He said, no. I said, Mr. Jackson, we can just go. He said, no, those people won't let me go in there. If he'd have gave me the green light, we'd have went and had us a beer. Okay. So, but I understood. I understood. I mean, yes, there was times in which we've made calls to just say, we're going to go to the mall. We should be good. Sometimes even before we go to the mall and other situations, I would contact mall security. I would contact local police just to let them know, we might need some assistance. Mm-hmm. But there were times in which we just said, we're just going to go for it. And we're going to go to the mall and we're not going to notify nobody. And sometimes it was okay. Mm-hmm. Other times, we got cornered in the mall and we got stuck in stores. And so I had to call local police to come get us out of this damn store because we got so many people outside this store trying to, see him and get after him. And, it was tough. I mean, it was tough and it was sad. I mean, to be honest, it was sad. And I like to think that many of those, they weren't fans. Okay, they weren't fans. Those are individuals that just happened to be in the area and they seen Michael Jackson and they lost their mind. And so their approach was of excitement and just trying to get at him. Certainly you had fans, some, but there was some individuals that just wanted the pictures and they wanted to be in the presence. And it was hard sometimes.
We noticed that. We noticed that a lot, even with non-fans, how they get so giddy and excited around him, even crazed, even
those
more so
the
than the fans.
Ones.
Exactly.
Okay, those are the scary ones.
That there's like this even Babyface, and there was you. Sorry, I don't remember how do I say his name. I can't remember, sorry, Ling Yu, I don't remember what his name is, but he's some rapper guy, I think, that he was sort of in contact with recording, and that they would just
Akon.
bash it. Yeah, they would,
Akon.
right.
Akon, yeah.
Akon, and yeah,
Akon.
there was the other, I can't remember that guy's name, but they would just be like giddy, like they're like, you know, they're famous themselves, but there was an energy about him, like you described. There's an energy when he walks into a room or into a place.
You know, there's something about him that gave off a very, it was an energizing vibe, especially when, because like I said, there's times when he would say, Bill, I want to go for a ride, or I want to take the kids to get some ice cream, or we want to go through a drive-through. Oh, he would just put on whatever clothes, you know, just t-shirt, slippers, whatever, and just come out and we'd go through a drive-through. But when he was getting prepared to outfit, we got the hairdresser, makeup artist here to get him in full effect King of Pop mode. That energy, there's nothing like it. I mean, it was like a transformation and that energy came along with him, and you felt it when he got in the car. You felt it when we get out of the cars, and his walk, we're walking down hallways. He has a walk to himself that is so smooth, you think his feet ain't even on the ground. It was just, he's just real smooth, and he knew it. He knew that he's looking good, he's feeling good, and that energy was just different. But it was a good feeling, because it was good to see he's happy.
Bill, are you saying this energy changed when he was in King of Pop mode, or did he always have that energy around him? Did it go up a level? Because you protected a lot of celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
so you're used to being around celebrities, but you're talking about this energy, and so many people that we've read about, all of us fans in the book club have read about this feeling that he gives people, even if he just meets them for an autograph.
Mm-hmm.
But are you saying that his energy came out when he was King of Pop mode, or did he always have it and then it just went up a level?
No, I don't want to say he didn't always have energy, but it was an energy effect around us. So to always say he always had it, no, there was some moments to where he was sad. He wasn't feeling good. He was upset. He was upset or just disappointed in certain things. So sometimes we would just get in the car and just go for a ride, you know. But the energy he brought that time when he was, I consider King of Pop mode, is when he, you know, he got a new outfit on. The hairdresser was with him for the past 2 hours, because it took him about 2.5, 3 hours to get his hair right, his makeup done. When you go through all that process and you come out, that came with an energy, and it was it was a good feeling. Okay.
I thought
that makes that story about Liz Taylor's party even more sad.
That was it.
He was up there and everyone was pumped, and you guys were
yes.
dressed up, and then bang.
Yes.
Over. That's quite devastating.
Oh, that was very devastating for everyone, because we seen how much he wanted that, especially that it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. We knew that made it even more, because no one knew he was coming other than her manager, her personal assistant, and they didn't let no one know. We didn't tell security. We didn't tell no one. So that was going to be a surprise to everyone. And we know he needed that. He needed to be amongst individuals and people that cared about him, that love, well, just whether it just came from that vibe of being the King of Pop, he needed that sometimes, because he spent the majority of his day of being a father.
Yeah.
Being a father and being on the phone, dealing with business and us running errands. And so when that side of him, the opportunity came for him to just be in King of Pop mode, there was nothing like it. It was an energy, and that Liz Taylor situation I regret it to this day that I couldn't give that to him, and I regret that. I wish that there was other ways that I could have handled that, or the conversations, because we were really going to go for it, you know. So, but we can, you know, because I wanted to enlighten his day. I wanted to, because we just went through a moment that really hurt him, and I did the best I could to just, again, yeah, certainly bringing a normalcy, but seeing him happy was something I tried so hard to do. And times, yeah, we succeeded at it. Like times when we would arrange that his mom was coming to visit him without him knowing. He had no clue when his mom would come to visit, and when she popped up, you could see it on his face.
Aw.
You know, that he was happy. And it was that surprisingly happy. So, and not being able to give him that is something that energy that we wanted to see in him was sometimes hurtful.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you mentioned like his need to want to go out, because it was really, it was just him, it was you and his kids, and he wanted other experiences. He
Of
wanted
course.
stimulation. It was so, you mentioned his swag, you know, the whole world knows how Michael Jackson moves, the whole world knows how he walks. So it didn't matter if he went out in disguise.
He tried.
People still knew it was him.
He tried. I mean, he tried, like, from, I mean, when he one disguise he considered the burn victim look. You know, he took a lot of gauze, wrapped his hands up,
Around.
wrapped his face up. You know, I mean, and just the way he walked, and he was saying, and people would walk by, and we tried to keep our distance from him. You know, we're in plain clothes, not suits this time, because we wanted to try to be incognito. I was going to say incognito. We tried to not disclose ourselves, and people would walk by him and whisper to him, "I know you're Michael Jackson." And he would go, You know what I'm saying? And we're like, and then we go to whatever we do, and we get back to the cars, and he'd be like, "How did they know?" Mr. Jackson, these people just, it's the way you walk, dude. I mean, I don't know. Those may have been some true fans too, because they didn't act all crazy and screaming and everything. They just gave him a sweet Lou. Because you would see people walking by, because we wasn't trying to keep people away from him, because we're trying not to act like we're with a celebrity. We're just trying to act normal ourselves. But we see this one fan, we'll walk by this young lady and older lady, and she just whispered to him, "I know who you are." And he just looked at her like, And we're wondering to ourselves, damn, how did she know? Just knew.
I heard you say something to that I found really interesting, that I don't know if it was a book or an interview, but you said, I wonder if he even knew how big he was, really, like really, you know, like you said that to yourself. Well, did he even really know how big he really was? Like he knew, but not really in a way. I don't know.
I don't think he knew after the trials and all that. I think he felt he lost a lot of people's interest in him. I think he felt that was lost. Because we took him to we snuck him into a club in Vegas at the Palms Hotel. We snuck him into a club, and we snuck him up into the VIP area where there was nobody up there. It was like 3 stories up, 3 levels up. No one was there but us, just, you know, security team and Mr. Jackson. And we was just there, and you could look down over the balcony and see the crowd, DJs playing the music. And then all of a sudden, they was mixing his music into other music, and he was like, "Wow, they still play my music?" He was surprised at that. And I said, "Mr. Jackson, they haven't stopped playing your music." Like, he was surprised at that. So I think he felt all these trials and the negativity that he'd been receiving, he thought he lost those that once admired him. I mean, no, I don't think he lost any fans. But he just wasn't, he just didn't get that. He didn't get out enough in public enough to know that or to see it.
Wow.
Yeah, so the This Is It announcement, Jeanette was there live, and so I guess he was, yeah, just to I can imagine what he would have felt like then to not know how he's being received out there in the real world. Yeah, and
Right.
and we all know that he's loved,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And he needed that sometimes. He needed that. It's just that ray of sunlight. If the sunlight is your energy source, he needed to get out in it from time to time, and just to feel it, and just to know, this is why I do what I do. Yes, I'm gonna go back on stage or give my fans some more. So he needed that.
We actually heard that during the This Is It announcement, I don't know if this is true or if you would know, we heard that he was wearing a bulletproof vest that night when he gave it. Not true. All right. So everyone, that's debunked.
No.
That's not true.
Did he wear a bulletproof vest when he went to the malls with you, or no, he didn't? No. Okay. Okay, that's good.
All right.
We did.
It's like, oh, that sounds so.
We did. I mean, if you're not going to be armed, why wear vests?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
it was our job to maintain his security. We let him concentrate on anything and everything else outside of his safety. His safety was our responsibility. So.
All right.
Bill,
Okay.
Bill, were you there in London in March? No.
I went to London before he went. I went there to see the house that he was going to be staying at. We had a security team there where we was interviewing. We had a surveillance system that we was preparing to have put in. So, but for me to take on that journey, additionally, there needed to be some contract negotiations on my end, assurances that I needed to handle myself with other and BJ and Javon. I mean, when I came back from that, that's when the negotiations were going on too, because even up to this time, I still hadn't been paid. So to even discuss traveling to be a part of this, we need to take care of this matter. This matter needs to be dealt with. And I think unbeknownst to him, like that, it wasn't for me and him to have that conversation about my contract. Okay. I already did have a contract already with him and his company that was never fulfilled. Now here you guys are asking me to be a part of this tour for however long and under another company, AEG, and I'm supposed to just continue on the way I had been. I can't. I have a family back home too, but I need to make sure they're going to be good. So no, I didn't make that trip because that's where the negotiations were still going on. And unbeknownst to him, he didn't know. He had no idea that I wasn't going. There were negotiations going on because that wasn't for him to deal with. That was not for him to deal with. I had to deal with that with his management team and the new people, because when AEG came in, they didn't understand the importance of me. They didn't understand. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. So as far as they were concerned, he's just security.
Right. That's too bad. It's so sad.
Yeah. So
he had didn't seem like he had some good people around him, in Vegas, like the management, and, just hearing your story too, it's just, and he didn't really know what's going on with some.
No, it was a lot going on. It gave a true meaning to when he said, a matter of fact, when he signed on. All right, I was there when he signed on, and that's when he made the comment, Bill, you're going to see the vultures come out now. And they came. Anybody that's ever did work with him, going as far back to the Thriller album, was calling. They wanted to be part of this. oh, I can do this, I can be that, I can do this, and he felt some form of obligation to a lot of people to just say, okay, all right, I'll find something for you. They just wanted to be part of it, and he felt that he can just find something. He felt an obligation to a lot of individuals, and some of these people I didn't feel good about, but I seen it happening. Like, wow, these are the same people. These people, none of these people have called to say Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, Happy New Year. How are the kids doing? But as soon as this is it came about, everybody loves
right up.
They pop up and they calling me, Bill, I love Michael. I love him. Oh, I love him so much. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, I hear you. But it wasn't for me to judge. It wasn't for me to, better yet, it wasn't for me to make comments to where the hell were you? So that wasn't my place, but.
It's amazing how professional you remain throughout this entire process. You never crossed that line. You were always professional. You made a lot of personal sacrifices. I don't know how you did it. I mean, it's just.
I get that a lot. I get that question a lot. People often ask, I was even advised by his management team. They said to me, well, if I was you, I would just walk away. Was I supposed to just walk away and just leave him and his kids?
Right.
Was I supposed to do that? Like, that's.
You were so invested at that point.
Definitely, absolutely. But also, I seen the need, and what I was going through and everything I was dealing with was not his bringing. It wasn't his fault. I know that. Yeah, if it was his fault, yeah, I had to grab him by his shirt collar and say, look, we need to fix this, sir. Okay, but it wasn't his fault. So I mentioned to him one time that his manager told me, Mr. Jackson, your manager even advised that I just leave, that I just walk away. And he said, oh no, Bill, don't do that. Who's gonna look after me and my kids? I said, Mr. Jackson, I wouldn't do that. I'm just letting you know what was told to me.
Wow.
So
they sounded very invested in themselves, like from just the money they were making and their condos they rented out and all the stuff in your book. It's just like, wow. He got used a lot that way, it seemed.
Oh, big time.
Bad. And all the lawsuits against him that during that time, you were bringing him to depositions all the time, and it's just not his fault. Like
all the time. I mean, he received a lot of lawsuits based on other people's neglect on things. I mean, there was people that organized concerts without him. Okay, they would organize appearances without him, without his notice, without him knowing, or without his authorization. And they were signing contracts on his behalf to make appearances. And when he didn't make these appearances, people sued.
Wow.
So, and he was the type that people knew he would never set another foot in a courtroom again. And he said that. He said, I'll never go into another courtroom again. And people knowing that, what's the easy thing to do? He's an easy mark now. But from an attorney standpoint, he's an easy mark because you will get a settlement.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen lots and lots of documents that I had that was sent to me, FedEx, settlements that was sent to me, FedEx, I'd have to bring to him for him to sign off, and I had to fax them back to whoever they had to go to. And I still had the original. Okay, I've seen these things, it's hard not to happen to glance through some of these things, and it's a shame that people just are taking advantage of him, and that's what hurt me to where I wish I could have just been unleashed. And, but
you hear about that, like he's given, I mean, there's different numbers, but it's between whether it's from his lifetime and now with the estate, but it's like $300 to $500 million to charity. And at the end, he, even though he had the catalog and he was, had money on paper, but it just, all these people like throwing lawsuits against him and his management not properly managing his companies and having the money issues. And it's just so sad because of all people, he was so generous. And he was giving people, I know maybe not you right away, but it's just, yeah, it was just very sad to see that. But
Yeah, from what I understand, he did contribute close to $3 to $4 million, 100 million
Mhm.
of his earnings over time to colleges, different schools, different charities, different foundations, a lot to education.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I know he's did that, and but people, again, a lot of people took advantage of the fact that he would not go into another courtroom,
Mhm.
and to hear that, and for people to know that he's an easy mark. He's an easy mark to get a payday.
Yeah.
You know?
Why work when you can sue Michael Jackson? Exactly what Tom Mesereau said.
Yeah, why work?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So there's some questions from the fans, Stephanie, or Jeanette too, right? That
Yes. Okay. Mr.
Quick
Bill
fire
Whitfield,
questions.
I have to ask this question. People will get so mad if I don't.
yeah.
So recently, we know that we heard that Michael had a little crush on Halle Berry.
Mhm.
Okay. And we wanted to know if there were any other details around that. Had there been any phone calls set up following the time that they met? We were just curious.
I did arrange a phone call. Oh, he thought she was beautiful. Okay, he thought she was beautiful. Yes, he thought she was beautiful. And there was a phone call made. There were arrangements made for them two to have dinner. But it wasn't due to his final situation that prevented that. No, there was other business matters that just came up that did not allow that. It was postponed. Their going out, was postponed. But yes, he did have I would say a crush.
Taste, yeah.
Good
He certainly
taste.
had a crush. He thought she was beautiful. And yeah, again, there was some phone calls made and arrangements made for them to have a date, but that just never happened.
All right. So you guys got the answer. Everyone who's listening, they're happy about that. All right. Any other questions, Tammy or Jeanette, from the fans?
There's one from Joy Elliott. It says, what type of books did he read? And do you know what his favorite book was at the time?
Well, we used to go to bookstores a lot. He was a big reader. From the books that I've seen him walk around bookstores and glance through, there was, you ever heard of the Robb Report? There's a Robb Report, has something to do with cars. Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Once he asked me to go, there's a hotel here in Vegas, Venetian Hotel, that would have that would have newspapers from like almost every country. Okay, I think probably catering to tourism. And he asked me to go pick up as many foreign papers I can find, newspapers. So he read those. I've seen a lot of finance books. I've seen a lot of astrology books. I've seen a lot of human body, eating right books, health conscious. He was very health conscious, that he was. But majority of the time I seen, we'll go to the house, for whatever reason, he needed to see me or whatever reason I need to go to the house. He read the Bible a lot. He had the Bible with him a lot. So, that's
that sounds.
Favorite book, I don't know, but other than I've seen him with the Bible a lot.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, some question from the fans. Some of the fans want to know what were his favorite foods. Like, we know that he loved KFC, and we know he loves spray butter on his popcorn and hot sauce, and he had some favorites. What was it like? Was it mostly just like healthful salads and stuff, or did he have some favorite foods that you had to arrange?
Okay, well, we did have we had a chef.
Right.
There was a chef that made a lot of I want to say vegan dishes. You know, like not too much red meat.
Mhm.
Okay, a lot of fish, sushi. We shopped at Whole Foods a lot, where they, you know, Whole Foods, we had special foods prepared.
Mhm. And KFC.
Oh, well, definitely the KFC, but he liked hot wings.
Oh,
Hot wings.
Oh no,
Okay.
he loved
hot
hot wings.
wings.
Yeah, we liked hot wings. We went to Wingstop a lot.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, went to Wingstop a lot.
We got a question from Charles Chuck. Was Michael excited when Obama became president? I always wanted to know this too, so
yeah.
interested.
During the during what do you call it? You know, when you're running for president,
Election.
during the whole campaign.
Yeah, campaign. Yeah.
He was happy to see an African American running for president. He wished he could vote. So we put things in gear with attorneys and management to, you know, he needed to have a residency, you know, to try to do an absentee ballot. So that was in the works. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but it was in the works to try to make it happen. And he did lend his support and to President Obama, and he was excited to see an African American running for president.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I don't think we've heard that story because no one knows except you. So that's wonderful to hear.
Again, those are the stories that, you know, that we pitched. That was certainly part of my manuscript, and a lot of people just felt that's too positive. That's not, you know, that's not negativity. And so, and people say, well, we can tell by a lot of what you've written about from your manuscript, you know more than what you're telling. Certainly we do. Certainly there's things in which I've seen and or witnessed that I will never speak on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to say that there are things that are negative, but just, you know, we are all entitled to some form of privacy in our lives.
Yeah.
And I just feel that what I decided to share with his fan base, I don't feel that I violated any personal laws or rules. I felt what I talked about was something that his fans would welcome, would appreciate, and hopefully continue to honor him. That's all. I mean, it wasn't nothing that we wanted to set out, and just speaking on the positive notes of who he was and the things and interactions that we had, that's not what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So again, the book was not for them. It was for you guys.
Right. Well, here's another question that we had. I know that you talked about his trip to Virginia. You guys were staying in a kind of like a resort or a cabin type place. And
The Stone Inn.
yeah, the Stone Inn. I'm from this area, so I know what you're talking about. But you mentioned that sometimes Michael would do housework around the house, and this is another way to see him as a person. Did he ever do laundry or cook or anything like that when he was with his kids, when he was on these vacations, or even just around his home?
Well, we can. Well, one thing, we gave him his privacy at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we were not up under. Once he was in the home, in his home, we knew he was good. He was secure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's his personal space with him and his kids, unless we were asked to come in for whatever reason. We know that he had 3 young kids, and there was times in which, you know, Grace was very helpful, very, very helpful. But there were times in which she would be had to go handle some things on his behalf, and she had to leave the country. So, you know, so she would take care of things. So she would leave. So that left just us. And so there was times that he would call and say, Bill, we're out of laundry detergent. So we need more laundry detergent. Yes, sir. We would go pick up laundry detergent. And myself and Javon would look at each other and one and say, yo, man, who's washing clothes? And we would just yell.
We can't imagine that.
Or you're right. All you could do is imagine. I don't think Blanket's washing clothes. Okay. And I don't think Paris is washing clothes either. You
Right.
know, Prince was the oldest, and certainly he was the big brother, and he helped out a lot. He would times when he would, you know, Blanket, get over here. Or he would always hold Paris's hand whenever we went out. So he certainly, I'm not saying that he was in there washing clothes, but Mr. Jackson's asking for laundry detergent. So we can only assume
Right.
that he's in there washing clothes.
Wow.
Times when he would tell us the kids are out of cereal. We'll go get some more cereal. Now, yes, I did witness him preparing breakfast with cereal bowls and pouring cereal in bowls and milk. You know, I've witnessed that. I've seen him do that. Okay, so you
Yeah,
know,
he transcended the world, and he in the achievements he's made in his lifetime. For us to think that he could probably handle putting cereal in a bowl too. You know? It's so funny that we're like, wow.
It's just hard to believe. It's just hard to imagine.
it would be hard to believe because those are the things people don't talk about, the normalcy of his life.
Right.
Mhm.
And you know, he had 3 kids, 3 young, vibrant, energized kids. If he didn't know how to pour a bowl of cereal, he gonna learn today. So you had no choice. You know, he was a great father from what I witnessed. Times in which we would leave, take the kids, wintertime, just take them to an amusement park or take them somewhere, just take them out. Okay.
Mhm.
And he would stay at the house and he'll call the car. Bill, does Blanket have his gloves on? I look in the back seat. No, sir. Turn around, come back and we probably getting ready to walk inside a place that was inside. He didn't need gloves, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to argue with someone's father. Okay. Does he have his gloves on? I said, no, he don't. Come back and get his gloves. I could have easily said, Mr. Jackson, he doesn't need his gloves, but I'm not getting into an argument because he's not going to let you win that argument.
Mhm.
Because I know what we coming next, which is, these are my kids. Don't tell them what to do with my kid. You get your ass back in and get these gloves. So
Exactly.
I came back and got the gloves. So
Well, asking about what type of father he was Paula Cole's question, and we've heard your stories about that he was like a fair, calm disciplinarian, and there's a lot of that in the book. But Michael also has a reputation for being a big kid himself. So, in your view, how did he balance that, being the single father, bringing these energetic kids up right with the kind of the tomfoolery, the mucking about, the kid Michael? Did you see him try and balance that with his own kids, or did he keep it very stern for his?
Oh no, there definitely was a balance. There was a balance of certainly seeing them running around the house playing hide go seek.
Mhm.
Few times in which he went outside to hide and they locked him out the house. Okay, so and so you see those fun and games, but when it came time, one particular time was the dog, Kenya, Prince's dog, which the dog stayed in the garage, in between, outside in the garage, and we had our unit, our base unit set up in the garage as well. And every so often, Kenya would release himself somewhere.
Oh.
And, we cleaned it up sometimes. Other times we gonna protest. I ain't cleaning this up no more. You clean up the shit. No, I ain't clean up the shit. You clean up the shit. It was protesting. So one day we decided we're not gonna clean it up. And that particular day, we had to go take Mr. Jackson to a meeting. He came out, he was all dressed up, ready to go, King of Pop mode. He came out, we get in the cars, we on our way, and there's a stench inside the vehicles.
Oh,
And he said, "What is that?" And we're looking at each other like we don't know what it is either. And then we hear him go, "Oh my God." And we're like, "What's that, sir?" He said, "It's on my shoes."
Oh,
Yeah,
ah,
he stepped in it. He stepped in it. And he was like, "I can't go into a meeting like this." So we got a new pair of shoes. And
wow.
that's
but when we got back to the house, he gave Prince a real good verbal discipline lashing. This is your dog. You wanted the
bet.
dog. You need to start taking care of this dog. It is not these guys' responsibility to clean up this dog after you. He gave it to him. And we was happy. And you talk about the balance. That was the balance. It was, one moment we could see them laughing and joking and playing games together.
Mhm.
But on the other side, we seen him be very firm but stern as to giving a teaching or a disciplinary lashing verbally,
Mhm.
to correct the situation. And we was so happy he did that.
Yeah.
But
they
then
seem
again,
well behaved, right? The kids. And then even now, do you follow them at all? Do you see what they're doing? Like Prince is giving his Heal the Kids LA and,
yeah,
and
I see. I certainly do see a lot of what they're doing now.
Aw.
I haven't. It's been about 2 years that I've spoken to Paris.
Aw.
So it's been a while. But one thing, I kind of contribute that too, is that during my time, they were young, and we kept a lot from them.
Mhm.
They didn't know what was going on. They just didn't know. We kept a lot from them as well as him, whether going into stores or going into a bookstore. And we would be in a bookstore, we would go into a bookstore first and look at all the tabloid papers and just see if there was
Right.
anything that had his picture and things. And there were several times, you see the Wacko Jacko, and we either turn those magazines around or we would just remove them all from the shelf because we didn't allow his kids to see things like this. So we shielded them as well from a lot of what was going on. So, I mean, they certainly know who I am and always will, I'm sure, but they did not know how deep of the job in which it entailed of what we had to do.
Mhm.
You guys really went the extra mile a lot of the time, from what
You
I
had
can
to.
tell.
You had to. Working for Miss Jackson was this unlike. I worked with a lot of different celebrities. Okay, from Shaquille O'Neal to P Diddy. Matter of fact, one of my good friends passed away yesterday. Andre Harrell. He
Mm,
was the president of Motown, the originating founder of Uptown Records,
wow.
and good friend of mine that I did personal security for that passed away. And so I've worked with a lot of people. I even worked with Prince. I worked with Whitney Houston. So I worked with a lot of individuals, but the level of what Mr. Jackson needed will compare to no one. It will compare to no one. No one, So it was some real on the job training when it came to him. I've been through a lot of different training academies and educational courses. Nothing could train you to do a job that was required for Mr. Jackson. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's been living that life since he's been 10 years old, right? That level
You know
of
what?
adulation from fans. And I don't know. You experienced that. You were right there when you were in that bubble, right?
And with technology, it only made it worse.
Mm,
I mean, we've seen people. I mean, I almost shot people out of trees. Okay, people that climb trees, just to try to get a look or try to get a picture. People trying to sneak into the compound. I had people just walk up to the gate You know, here I'm here to see Michael. You know, you
Was
just
this
have
the
people.
Palomino house mostly? Was that the,
This was the Monte Cristo house.
okay. Because he was at the Palomino for a long time too, right?
He was at the Palomino house for maybe maybe a year.
Okay. So he liked the underground
You know,
tunnels, so he could
yeah.
avoid.
Maybe
Okay.
a year, yes.
Did
But
he
when he-
really live in the bungalow in the last house? Was there like a separate house in the grounds?
When he went there to read.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah, when it came to sleeping quarters or no, he wouldn't be that far away from his kids.
no.
I went to a tour there, and they have a Liberace museum in there. You should check it out. It's kind of, whatever. I thought it was kind of disappointing because they dropped the name like Thrillavilla, and it's the Man in the Mirror and the Entertainer or whatever. And
Right.
wasn't a lot about Michael, unfortunately, but I did get to go in that house, and they were saying it was mostly that he had his stuff in the underground tunnels, and he liked to walk through there to be hidden. Like, I don't know. So I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, when he was home, he was home. He didn't need to hide.
Okay.
He didn't need to feel insecure.
Mm.
Unless you was coming through that gate or climbing the walls, he wasn't worried. So, he just walked about wherever he wanted to, when he wanted to.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing because after he had gotten back from Bahrain, you said, within a couple of days, weeks, fans already knew where he was.
A few days.
Few days.
Yeah, a few days. The first house we went to was the Monte Cristo house,
Mhm.
and it was surprisingly to see people starting to show up. I mean, we had the neighbor. Maybe 2 days we were there, and the neighbor came across the street with some banana bread and wanted to welcome him to the neighborhood.
I do that too.
And so,
Aw,
That's amazing.
I will say he never got the banana bread.
no.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, you
sure.
can't
No,
trust
no,
them.
no. We had to test it. We had to make sure that it was okay. So.
Yep.
Yeah, double check, no. Aw,
That is so funny.
that's amazing to know that too. That's so awesome to have you on so that we can hear these stories. That's amazing. We don't know any
Yeah.
of this stuff.
Well, I guess we've gotten to our to the end
Well,
of our
but
time.
I mean, if you have any funny stories that you want to say, like, what do you want us to know? Because we're not on a timeline, so it's up to you. If you want to keep on talking, some more stories that are funny that we would like to hear.
Anything that wasn't in the book
Not in the book, that would be great.
or in the movie that you would have loved to have shared.
Let me see. I wrote a few things down. I like to like when he first came back, you very rarely will you see too many pictures of him from 06 to close to 08. You didn't see much of him.
Mhm. It's true.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I take pride in that. I take pride in having us doing our jobs because we knew what he did not want. He didn't want that public interaction. So us keeping him where he was at undisclosed was a hard job to do. From having to disguise him and escort him in and out of hotels. I commandeered a FedEx truck once. We were going into the Four Seasons Hotel in New York City. And there was a lot of people. The word got out, that's where he was going to be staying. The word got out, a lot of people was there. Press, they just wait for Michael Jackson to roll up. And I wanted to get him in this hotel without anyone knowing. So we were maybe about 5-6 blocks away. I seen a guy delivering packages with a FedEx truck. I got out, spoke to the gentleman, said, listen, I have a high profile individual with me. I need a favor. I want to put this individual in the back of your truck. I want you to back the truck up into the loading dock of the hotel. I'll give you $300. Guy said, cool. Guy didn't ask who it was. He just said, cool. So
Wow.
Wow.
we went down this little alley. Me and Mr. Jackson got in the back of the FedEx truck with all the packages. And we drove to the loading dock to the Four Seasons Hotel. Nobody seen us come in. We took the service elevator up to the rooms. There's people still outside waiting for him to show up.
Yeah.
We were already in the rooms.
Wow.
So there was several times we had to do things like that. One particular time when we was in, matter of fact, that night that we walked around downtown DC, 2:00 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. Now, mind you, we were in Washington, DC with 2 SUVs, triple tinted windows, Nevada plates, Nevada license plates. And what I did not know, and which was bad on my part, because I didn't pay attention to it, which I should have. I did not know the cars were registered. If you, as a police officer, if you run the plates, the registration said Michael J. Jackson,
Oh.
Neverland Ranch.
No.
Now, mind you, we are in Washington, D.C., a couple of blocks from the White House, 2:30 in the morning, driving downtown, and we're driving like slowly so we can see things, so we can see, monuments and stuff.
Mhm.
Now we drove, and all of a sudden we get the blue lights and all the whoop whoop and everything, and we're being pulled over by Secret Service. Okay, we talk about a tense moment. It was tense, and the Secret Service guy came up to the car, and these guys are all in military gear, ready to look. They just got everything on, bulletproof vests, guns, and everything. And I'm nervous because he doesn't like police. Okay, he does not like police. So the guy tells us, he said, he said, you know why we pulled you over? No, sir. He said, we ran your plates and it came back Michael Jackson, Neverland Ranch. And we're trying to figure out why would Michael Jackson why would plates come back to say Michael Jackson, Neverland Ranch? And having been a former law enforcement officer, I would find that very suspicious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to reveal who was in the back seat. And the guy said, well, he's gonna have to identify himself. And I said, Mr. Jackson, these guys want to see who you are. They just need to know that you're who you are. And he was back there with one of the young ladies. And he said, okay. So he opened up the curtain. The guy seen him, shined the flashlight. He said, okay. Came back to the driver's side window where I was at. He said, is that really fucking Michael Jackson? I said, yes, sir. He said, you think he'll mind giving me his autograph? Okay. Oh, now, okay. The dynamics changed. The tension levels going down. Mr. Jackson, would you mind giving Joan an autograph? He said, sure. So the guy took his pad, his pen. I passed it to Mr. Jackson. He signed it, gave it to him. The guy said, thank you. And as the guy walked off, he said, okay, guys, have a good night. As he started to walk back to his vehicle, another one of the guys jumped out their vehicle and they ran back up to the window. And they said they had their pen and pad. Okay. And so he just handed it to me. I just handed it to Mr. Jackson. He signed it. And one of the guys said, as he got that signature and he looked at it, he said, fuck the president. We just met Michael Jackson.
Yay!
That made my day. That told me this man is just, he changes things for people.
Mhm.
And that vibe, that is the energy I'm talking about. Okay. People that got in his presence. You get into his presence and it's like, that's not, you get a vibe, and it wasn't a bad vibe. It wasn't nothing negative. So encounterments like that were interesting. A bookstore story. We were in a bookstore one time and he was disguised as best he could because his disguises sucked. I tell you straight up, they sucked. So when we was in a bookstore, it's when he had the hat on. He put the Band-Aids on his face with a veil as best he could. We were in a bookstore, and I wasn't too far from him, but I didn't want to be too close to him, you know, to be obvious. And I heard him somewhat in an argument with somebody. He was in an argument with an older woman. She said that, I don't appreciate you impersonating Michael Jackson. And she said he should be ashamed of himself. And he told her, look, lady, I am Michael Jackson. If you don't want to believe it, that's your problem. And it's like me, I'm security, and I'm sitting here and I'm watching it. What am I supposed to do? Was I supposed to intervene? It was just, it's like, and he looked at me, you know, like, how dare she? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, sir, I don't know, tell you, you know, I guess you handle that well, I guess. Yeah, but no, she took offense to him impersonating Michael Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
So moments like that, you talking about the normalcy, it just like, yeah, this is things people will not believe, just the things like this. The time we was in the store, we went into a Walmart in Chantilly, Virginia. Went to a Walmart, and he had his face covered in all black. He had on black gloves. I wasn't too far behind him. As he walked past the security guy or the monitor right there, the guy said, that guy looked like he's coming to rob us. You know, but we go down to the aisle and he's picking out DVDs and CDs. And all of a sudden, 2 police officers walked in there. And I mean, he looked suspect. The way he was dressed, he still looked suspect. But I wasn't too far behind him, so I was standing nearby. And police officers walked over to him and asked him, could he identify himself? And I came over and asked, let him know I'm doing a security detail for a high-profile dignitary. And the guy said, well, who the hell is it? I didn't want to reveal because there was a few people starting to form. So I said, it's Prince. And the cop said, oh. And so the cop told a few people, it's Prince. One of the cops said, the guy that wears the purple? I said, yeah. And he said, oh, okay. And told the crowd it was Prince, and the crowd just walked off. This one young lady did want his signature, wanted Prince's signature. Okay, but
that's funny.
But and Mr. Jackson, we got in the cars.
Did he give Prince's
he asked what happened. He's like, what happened? I said, I told him you was Prince. He said, oh, so that's why they left. So,
sure, he enjoyed that.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, like I said, there's several moments that, that things have happened when we was at the zoo. We was at the zoo, and, Mr. Jackson can be a little arrogant sometimes, too. And we were at the zoo. This is when we shut the zoo down. There's nobody in the zoo but him and his family. Probably I don't know if the mayor, but it was like a city council, couple of people. So we at the zoo. We had the zoo, one of the lead people that takes you around to each animal cage and describe the animals or whatever. When this guy started, we got to a tiger cage, and he's telling, this is an African tiger. It's from here. Mr. Jackson said, oh, I have 2 of those. What else you got?
Oh.
We went to I believe we went to a giraffe thing, and he started to describe the giraffe, how old it is, and where they're from. Mr. Jackson said, I have one of those. What is this? All you have? And I'm like, and the guy looks at me like, what doesn't he have? And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. But that was it's like you had to. That moment was like he's telling him about
Unreal.
It's unreal. Well, I'll tell you, at that moment, it was just, he said, what doesn't he not have? So I could take him to what I said, listen, just show him whatever. I don't even know what he has. I don't, just whatever. So it was a awkward moment, but a funny moment.
Like how many people can say I already have one of those and one of those?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, when we got to the hippopotamuses, and that's when Blanket decided to say, Daddy, I know what I want for a pet. He said, Prince has Kenya. Paris has Katie, which was the name of her kitten.
Mhm.
He said he wanted a hippopotamus. And when he said that, I said to myself, if this man asked me to go find a hippopotamus, I'm out. Okay, because I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. And he said, okay, all right, I'll get you a hippopotamus. You know, but
That is hilarious.
we
Oh
never
my
got no hippopotamus. So that was, like, those was moments that people have to understand. There was some normalcy about him that I found as a regular guy. And when people say your book makes him sound like a normal person, I said he was a normal person.
Mhm.
Okay, he just had a stigma about him that created this aura, this energy that his fan bases had just picked up on. That, yo, it's just like unlike no other. And I'm to this day I'm honored to have been part of that, and I'm honored to be able to share things with his fans that he was unfortunately unable to share. So I don't mind doing this. I don't mind talking about him. I want to keep talking about him.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if any of you went out to. I went out to Forest Lawn last year, anniversary of his passing, and I was afraid.
Mm.
I was afraid. I was afraid that, because hey, I've gotten some negative flack from his book, from the book. I've gotten some. Yeah, I have. So I wasn't sure which fans really accepted the book. You know, so when I was there, you know, I had on a hat, dark glasses. A couple of fans recognized me and wanted my autograph and wanted to talk about the book, which was cool.
Mm.
But I wasn't sure. And there's some people that's been on Twitter that I've gone back and forth with, you know, in a negative light. Some that I said to myself, I hope I never meet you, because it may not be pretty. And I hope that I didn't run into these people. And so I was cautious. I wasn't sure, but I'm glad I went. I will always be at the anniversary because I felt the energy there, with the fans there, and I think they had 18,000 roses.
Yeah, there was a lot last year.
So
Right now on the live stream chat, we've got people saying, we were there, Bill. I met you, Bill. Thank you. Everybody else is saying, we love you. Thank you for doing this. Please come back and do it again. We love you. Thank you.
Yeah,
So much love for you from the fans right now.
And we got pictures
Right.
of fans with you. They sent some in before
okay, cool.
that
cool.
happened. So they were excited really to
Okay.
be able to have this opportunity
Cool.
with you. And yeah, I hope, you know, about the Twitter stuff. I hope that, you know, there are a lot of fractions and divisions within the fan community, but at the end of the day, we all love Michael, and
Absolutely.
that's what it's all about. And I hope that,
Absolutely.
you know, you're a big advocate of, you know, everyone coming together, you know, unifying.
It's what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
I know it. I just know it. It's what he would have wanted. It's one of the reasons, again, yeah, for the book. I mean, the book was, I believe, we left out about 30,000 words.
Wow.
Because we talked so much. It was so much that we talked about. But the book, I believe, is something like 300 and something pages, about 320 pages. Had we put everything in the book would have been almost 600 pages. So we had to, you know, the publisher didn't feel a book of that magnitude was good. So
Could you do a
Get
part
a
two?
sequel maybe to
Part
that
two.
book? Can you
Say
Another
again?
book?
put that into another book?
You know,
I-
we're speaking on it. I'm doing some other writing too. Like just like some of the stories I just shared with you. Those are some of the things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about those things. Having, I mean, I've never told the story about having used a FedEx truck to get into a hotel. I've never talked about that.
Thank you.
People have no idea that there's been instances like that we had to. I mean, sneaking him out of his room and getting him into the vehicles when we know there's so many people in the lobbies is waiting for him. I've had Michael Jackson, Mr. Jackson. I don't like Mr. Jackson. We've snuck him out in a room service cart.
Wow.
Oh,
That's good.
And you know what? That was
wild. Wow.
He
That was-
probably liked it. I bet you he thought that was adventurous.
it was his decision. Because we was in
I
his
bet.
room, we were in his, because we always ordered room service. And when they always brought the carts to my room, then I'd bring the cart to his room. And the cart happened to be in his room. And we were discussing getting him out of the hotel. You know, we can go this way, we can go that way, the back door, this we can do. We were discussing. And he goes, how about I go in that? And we looked at the cart like, I wanted to say, hell no. But then I looked at the cart and then I looked at his little ass. Yeah, he'll fit. Okay, he'll fit. And he had no problem crunching down in that cart. And we got out of there. So those are the things that I want people to know. That was his character. He loved that type of stuff. You
That
know,
is
he
so
liked
crazy.
that James Bond secrecy. He liked that kind of gadget stuff.
That is not surprising.
You know,
That's not surprising.
that was
The live chat is saying, hey, Mr. Bill, you need to publish a second book. We're looking for book number 2. Where is it at? There.
You know
I
what?
think-
We'll work on it. We're working on it. I mean, we're working on it. I'm working on a movie as well. It's not another Michael Jackson movie, but it is a movie about executive protection.
Yeah.
Some of the tools and things that we do to protect the client, and some of the situations that I used with him would be part of that.
Oh.
Okay, so
A lot of people don't know about that world.
Yeah.
don't have no clue. So like when a lot of people ask when was I with him? Oh, I know there were days in which I could not be with him because I had to go do my surveillance on areas in which we would be going to. Okay, I couldn't be under his wing every day because I had to go, because he would not go certain places unless it was checked.
Mhm.
You know, we had to scan if we was going to stay at a hotel, I had to use our scan machine, bug detector, counter surveillance equipment to scan these rooms. And he insisted, Bill, did you guys check the room? So he was certainly cautious on that level because I believe there was a recording and someone secretly recording him one time on an airplane.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
used it against him. And so he was cautious of things like that. So I had to ensure that there was no surveillance equipment being used against him. So there was a lot of work into him traveling. It was more to just standing by his side. So it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And I would not do it again.
I feel like you were the
No.
perfect person for it. Like even just your character, like when I read the part where you went to Dave, to bring the
Mhm.
money and you gave him a hug after. Like that's
Oh, I had to.
that's
I mean,
what people would do. And
you had to. That was a hug. No, I'll be honest with you. On that note, Mr. Jackson told me to give him a hug.
Okay, I was like, oh,
Yes,
you gave him a
he
hug.
did.
That's so
He
nice.
told me to give him a hug.
I
Yes.
was- But
Yes, he
not
did. He
not
told
everybody,
me-
big, strong executive protection guy would do that.
They
And
wouldn't do that.
No, wait. He said, and give him a hug for me.
Aw.
And
Oh,
so he
which,
saw that side of you, probably.
it's funny you say that because there were times in which I either had to be gone for a day or two, to do some of the things I needed to do, you know, surveillance an area or whatever, or go errands for him, travel somewhere to pick something up for him. And when I would come back, and, you know, he'd give me a hug.
Aw, that's
and
so funny.
and he would, you know, I would get a hug from the kids, and it was a feeling that made me, there was nothing that this man could do to make me walk away. Yes, we were going months at a time without receiving a paycheck.
Mhm.
But you don't turn your back on your friends. And I was not going to do that.
You know what, Bill? I think he saw that in you, because even that very first assignment that you had with taking him from the airport to his home, in that moment when you went into his house, he said, "Oh, you're going to be head of security, right?" And you were
Yeah.
kind of like shocked. I think
Shocked.
maybe there was something about you, obviously, that
I didn't think he was a real Michael Jackson at that time. I thought somebody was playing a joke on me.
but there
I
was
really did.
he saw something in you that made him, you were trustworthy, you felt you have a good vibe to you. We can tell, you know, the fans love you and everything. He must have sensed that about you, and he
Felt
just said,
comfortable around you, yeah.
yeah.
Well, before I was asked to send my resume.
Mhm.
Before I even knew who the client was. They told me to send a copy of my driver's license and a copy of my resume. And on my resume, I was at one time for another, I was the head of security for Motown Records.
Mhm.
And that's who the gentleman that passed away, Andre Harrell, he was the president of Motown, and I was his head of security. And when I met Mr. Jackson for the first time, that's one of the first things he said. He said, "I see you worked for Motown."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, a lot of memories there." And I don't know if that's what did it. I don't know if that was because Motown was almost like the beginning of his era,
Yeah.
his whole career. And here was a guy that happened to have worked for Motown Records at one time. And I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that's what he's seen. I don't know. I don't know what vibe he received from me or not, because I was really under the impression I'm here to drive this guy from the airport to home, and I'm going home. I told my daughter I'd be right back. And no, it turns into a journey
Yeah.
that I'll always remember. And there's always more to talk about. There's always more to share, because, and just in that 3-year span, there's a lot that took place.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there's a lot took place.
We can sense
But,
that.
I celebrate him. I celebrate now. I don't mourn him anymore. I celebrate. I mean, yeah, I celebrate because we're still talking about him.
Yeah. Do you think
Okay.
it helped you too with your company? Do you think that, I mean, you're successful, you have a big company now, right? Don't you have?
I have a security company here in town,
Yeah.
Bulwark Security.
Mhm.
In my office, I have a picture of Mr. Jackson, but I don't talk about it. I don't, there's some people prospective clients that will get my name, and before they do business with me, as I do with them, I may run a background check on you. You know, people that ask me to do security, hey, we need a security over here, over there. I'll do initial background check on that company. I don't just say, yes, I'll do security for you. So there's some individuals that will do the same with me. They'll run a background, quick Google search of who I am, and Michael Jackson will pop up. And that's when they'll say, "Oh, you work for Michael Jackson?" I don't tell anybody I work for Michael Jackson. I'll speak on my previous security positions, but I don't say I work for Michael Jackson.
Mm.
I don't like to use that as a stepping stone, because there are individuals that I have mentioned that at one time or another,
Mhm.
and the first thing out their mouth is, "So what do you think? You think he really did that?"
Oh,
So I'm not going to get in that conversation, because for you to even ask me that, it doesn't matter what I say to you. You're already convinced that whatever you think. You don't know me, so whatever I say to you, and I've told people I don't want to talk about it.
Mhm.
So again, it's very personal to me. He was a friend. I consider him a friend, and I'd rather leave that topic alone, because if you say something negative, there will be no business done here.
Mhm.
So I leave it there. But if people find out you work for Michael Jackson, oh my God, oh, I loved him and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Maybe we can have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? I might just give you a book. So,
Yeah.
but speaking on that, my book, certainly, anybody interested, the proceeds had been going to, which will probably continue to go to homeless and homeless youth. But right now, we've been donating all contributions to sales of the book to our first responders, our nursing teams, our
Wow.
nurses that work at some of the senior citizen homes that are taking care of them. I send them meals, I send them lunches. We sent out 522 meals last week.
Wow.
We believe Krispy Kreme has a big thing going on, so we'll probably go get, I don't know, maybe about 100 dozen donuts and pass those out at some of just some of the. I have a couple of friends, that work in the nursing and medical profession that have been working long hours, to keep people like us safe. We some of us that are staying home, to help combat this virus situation. When we have medical professionals out there that have to go to work and try to take care of individuals to stop the spread. So I know few personal individuals that are working hard, working long hours. So I decided to take, for the month of May, all proceeds will go to buy meals, and if we hear anybody have any hardships, if we have some funds left over, we'll help out there as well. So
That's beautiful.
I just want people to, get the book out there. I mean, I don't think it's out there as much as I like for it to be, but
we recommend it. I've read it now 3 times.
oh, thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Me about 4 times, but yeah, it's an amazing book. Everybody has to read it.
Yes.
It's the real Michael, and and even some of so we talk about the money, little bit of money hardship there. Well, it's real life.
Yeah, and it's like, I want people to know, that played. And when people say, oh, they talk about the finance, they talk about, no, we're talking about it because this was part of it. This is what this was part of
Absolutely.
what happened. Like
why he was going to do this is it, and everything about it. It's part of his life.
correct. So
Oh yeah. And so
absolutely.
people can get your book anywhere. It's been out. If you haven't read it now, I'm looking at the comments. People are like, where can I get the book? If you haven't read it, you're late. It's an amazing book. It's time to get it. It's an audio book, it's an ebook, it's a print book. The movie is out also, has been out.
Mhm.
You can get it anywhere, right? The book.
Well, right now my publisher sent me about 200 copies. I have about 200 copies, and we created a website. Remember the time, book.com is where you can buy the book. And I personally sign.
Awesome. I'll buy one of those too.
I'll
each
get one
book.
of those. All right,
Okay.
you heard that. Remember the time, book.com.
.com.
You can get
Yes.
a personally signed copy from Bill Whitfield himself.
Absolutely.
We'll leave that on the Facebook page.
It's
Just put the link up for everyone on the live stream.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
You can get that.
Yay.
if you're within the States, I ship for free. In the States, out of the States, I'm sorry, you have to pick up that postage.
Yeah.
But it's an exact postage, I don't, I'm not making no profit, which no, I'm not trying to. It's more important for me to get the book out there.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what's more important to me. And like I said, the few hundred copies that I have, the sales from that, only if you purchase it from my website, that I can use those funds to benefit some of these medical professionals, as well as the homeless, especially youth homeless.
Okay.
So
That's-
again,
That's
remember the
cool.
time.
Cool distinction.
Yeah,
So if
we'll
it comes
definitely.
from your website, the signed ones.
And if you,
they're the
any of
ones
you,
that money will go.
any of you that you've already read the book, can you please go to the website and just leave your comments?
Sure, we can do a
It's
review there.
important.
Yeah.
I want those comments because I love reading through those.
Yeah.
That gives me the energy that I need to keep doing what I do. Knowing that there's people out there that have enjoyed the book, that makes me want to keep this journey going. Okay, I tell people,
we wouldn't know without your book. We would know nothing.
We wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
we
We would
want you
just
to know
know
more.
that he's back and he was going on tour, and that's it. We wouldn't know. And so it's like that part. So when people ask me in the book club, like what books do they recommend to get sort of a 360 view of his life, I'll recommend some books. Yours, one of them. I have 5 of them, kind of like
Okay.
beginning of his life, his Moonwalker book, dancing. It's some things to really get a good. And then your book is like the last book I say to read, so that you can get a really good understanding of what his journey was. And
You know, I wish his estate was a little more supportive.
Supportive.
Why they're not, I don't know. I wish they were, because this is a big deal. This is to keep that leaving Neverland thing. It pissed me off so much that I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I bet I never see Wade Robson. I'm serious. I mean that. I bet I never see that boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and say I'm gonna do something physically, but I'm gonna have something to say to him.
yeah.
And he's not gonna like it. And I might have to make him apologize.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
Oh.
So that's
Bill,
how
while we're on that topic, that negative topic, some fans want to know if there's any truth in the rumor that was going around Twitter that you or Javon saw Stephanie Safechuck fangirling around Michael in a group, like as a fan, because that's an important sighting if that's true, because this is post James Safechuck's comments that he told his mom what happened. So that would be important in terms of evidence.
Okay, as a fan, I mean, there was a lot of people that showed up at the house whenever we went to different shows in Vegas and different events, and a lot of fans followed us and showed up. And yeah, there was a time that I remembered her when I seen the documentary, and I recognized her. I said, "Oh, that's the mom that tried to." I believe it was at the Mirage. I think. She said she wanted to, because I got it all. It was always, when people seen that I was like the point person with Mr. Jackson, people always wanted to give me their story. He's my father used to work for him when he was 12. And so, I mean, I got it all. And I remember her saying, my son knows him. My son knows him. They're friends. Like she wanted to use that as the connection for me to say, hey, Mr. Jackson, do you know this boy? So I did none of that. I mean, unless he recognized someone and he would say, oh, Bill, let them through. I didn't let nobody through. Okay.
So you saw her face on Leaving Neverland and you said, that is the lady who.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that was definitely her.
So
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Stephanie, right?
Yeah, that was definitely her. Yeah, I seen her.
Oh, right, but they were so close that they could just have access somehow, like it's just, but they didn't, obviously.
No, she didn't have access. She was amongst the crowd.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. He may have seen her. Okay, he may have seen her, but if he did see her, because it would be no way he could not see her as close he was to me, and he's looking at the fans, the crowd, the people screaming. I would take a few autograph things that he would sign, and people are yelling. He may have seen her, but the connection, that the way they portrayed it in that documentary, oh no, that was all false. That was all. I was so amazed that if you were that close to him, okay, especially with the Wade guy, there was always cameras. I mean, we had cell phone cameras now at 2008 when he said he went to some barbecue. Where are those pictures at? You didn't take, you brought your kids, your family. And when I heard Wade talk about wine, I said, oh, he read my book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. Because a few times he asked me to buy him, get a couple bottles of wine.
Mhm.
Grown ass man, he drink what he want.
I have wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like wine, from time to time. And but when I heard him say that, because there's just no way in hell that Mr. Jackson would ask someone of that status, of Wade Robinson or whatever, that you haven't seen in a couple of years, you don't really know like that, to just, hey, bring me some wine.
Mhm.
No, security took care of that.
Right. And
Yeah.
and the phone was in your name, like you say, you would have the phone numbers
Oh,
on.
you had to go through me,
It's right.
because
There's no way that could happen.
one of the first things people would do is to try to get in touch with Mr. Jackson. You would try to get in touch with his management company. Okay, you get in touch with them. If you can get in touch with them, then they would reach out to me.
Mm.
There was never that. They would call my phone, and his management company would tell me, Bill, you're going to get a call from this person. This is the number. Because normally if I got calls from numbers that I didn't recognize and I wasn't aware of them calling, I ignored them.
Yeah.
I mean, I hung up on Nelson Mandela.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if Nelson Mandela can't get a hold of him,
Well, he
Yeah.
called. He called, and his assistant called, and I asked who it was, and they said, They said they had Mr. Mandela from Mr. Jackson, and I said, who? And I was like I took it like it was a prank call. I was like, bullshit, and I hung the phone up. So Mr. Jackson came out, got in the car. We about to go somewhere. He said, Bill, I'm going to be expecting a very important call from Nelson Mandela. I'm saying to myself, oh, Lord, I hope he calls back. Please call back. I just hung up on him. So, because I didn't think it was real.
Yeah.
But they called back and they spoke.
Oh
So-
my gosh. Well, since you brought up the estate, I have to ask. I don't know if we heard things in your book about Raymond Bain, and that was a whole struggle to read about. It was just hard to read. And I don't know if you saw the press conference that she gave this past summer in
I did.
August, right? And she was talking about the new Michael Jackson Legacy Foundation to do like charities and to raise money
Right.
for all sorts of things. How was she chosen to do that? What is that all about? And
I don't know.
who is involved in that? It was very vague, the information. I haven't heard about it since.
Oh,
Yeah, from what I understand, the estate shut that down.
Oh.
Because they have full rights to Michael Jackson's name.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She couldn't do anything, on his behalf. The estate initially fought my publishers on the release of the book and the movie.
Mm.
Wow.
Because when we shot the movie, we asked the estate for music rights because we wanted to put some of his music in the movie, and they told us no. Then they fought us on the book, releasing the book. But my legal team or my attorneys or whatever said, well, it's okay that I tell my story. Okay, this is my personal story, up close and personal. And they told them, we're going to release this book. If you want to sue us, you go right ahead. So again, I wish they were more supportive. If they were more supportive, we probably get more marketing out of the book. We get more, notoriety of the book. Because I want everybody to know about the book. I want everyone to know.
so did we.
Do
Because
too.
you need to know, we need to know more about him. Because right now, a lot of people are left with that Leaving Neverland
Wow.
trash.
Breaks my
Mhm.
A
heart.
lot of people are left with that. No. I got something. Here's the truth. And again, this is not no financial gain for me.
Mhm.
None whatsoever. I'm doing good things with this money because that's what Mr. Jackson would have wanted.
And that's the thing, you're so real. Like I've obviously there's a lot of people, it's like there's so many documentaries and books coming out now since that. It's like, oh, authors are revisiting the last part of their book. I'm not sure what they're going to add now because
Right.
of dropping his name just to get publicity. and it's just so it's annoying, but it's like you are real, like you're not like at all looking for that. It's a totally different, whereas I'm not saying everybody, but some of them it's pretty obvious that it's just, oh, here's his name, and just to make them, like, to get the sales out there or whatever.
No, I got you. And it's just, again, it's personal to me.
Mhm.
It's not business. This is personal. And I tell people, yes, I protected Mr. Jackson in life. I will continue to protect him in death.
Mm.
So it is up to me. It is up to me. I considered myself that last line of being one of those that was around in the last few years of his life. There are others. They could have wrote a book. They could say some of the things that they experienced. And that's what I talk about, what I experienced of him.
Mhm.
There were some good times. There were some bad times.
Mhm.
Yeah, there were some times I wanted to choke him. Oh boy, I wanted to kick his ass. I did. But, that's what made him normal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's what made him normal, and that's what made how I viewed him as being normal. Because there's times I had to tell him no. He wanted to go to the movies. Bill, the guy, the kids want to go to the movies, and we want to go see this. Yes, sir. I would make arrangements. I'll go to the theater a couple of hours prior, or before, and check out the movie theater. Which way we're gonna get in? Which way we're gonna get out? If we couldn't get the movie in a theater next to the emergency exit door that will be coming in closest to the parking lot, I go to the manager and I tell him, we need to switch this movie from that theater to this theater.
Wow.
Wow.
And whatever I need to do, who I need to call to make that happen. There were times in which he wanted to go see, I believe it was the opening for Transformers.
Huh.
It was packed. It was packed. It was
Oh.
too packed. And I had to go back and tell him, Mr. Jackson, I don't think we can do this. It's just too many people down there.
Yeah.
And he would turn to the kids, Bill said we can't go to the movies. No, don't blame me. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And they'd be like, why, Bill, why? And I'm like, I thought he would have explained that.
He doesn't like to say no.
He left it up to me, like I was the bad guy. And I'm like, what? So
That's a mess.
yeah, those times. But I tell you, one time we went to go see Spider-Man when that first came out. And we go see Spider-Man and made arrangements to get in and get out, and with the manager. And we got in, got out, got in the vehicles. The manager came outside and said, "Hey, would he like to meet Stan?" I said, "Stan? Stan who?" They said, "Stan Lee." I said, "Stan Lee?" They said, I knew Stan Lee was, and I said, "Stan Lee's here?" They said, "Yeah, he's upstairs in the office." I said, "Mr. Jackson, would you like to meet Stan?" He said, "Stan Lee?" He said, "Oh, Stan's here?" Yeah. He said, "Sure." Man, we took him back upstairs to meet Mr. Stan Lee, and they talked like they were old school buddies.
Oh.
Wow.
They just had a conversation. Another time, I get a phone call from somebody. Said, "May I speak to Michael, please?" I said, "Yes, master's calling." He said, I'm sorry, why can't I think of his name? What was Batman's name? I can't think of his name.
The actor who played
Yes.
Batman?
Yes.
Oh.
Why can't I think of his name right now? I'm sorry. My mind is a little frozen right now.
That's good.
I
Um,
can't think
We'll
of
search it
either.
after. It's okay.
Yeah, we can.
You can Google his name later.
What year was it?
no, this is the original Batman.
Oh, original Batman. Oh. Who's
Anyone in the comments know who played the original
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne?
Bruce? No, Bruce. That's the original character's name in the movie.
Oh.
Oh,
Um,
the actor. You guys
Yes.
know? Not Michael Keaton.
Adam West. Adam West.
Adam West. That was it.
All right.
That's right. And he said, I asked who's calling. He said, Adam West. And I'm saying to myself, Adam West. I said, "Mr. Jackson, do you know Adam West?" He said, "Oh, yes. I handed him a phone, and they just had a good old conversation.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm saying to myself, that's not Batman. That's not. So when they hung the phone up, and I ain't like to be in his business because though I'm in earshot of everything, When he hung the phone up, I asked Mr. Jackson, you don't mind me asking, but was that Batman? he said, yeah, yes. Me and Adam have been good friends for a long time. Oh, and I'm saying to myself, people will never know this, will understand this. I mean, he had a good rapport with Steve Jobs.
Oh.
Wow.
Steve Jobs sent us 12 iPhones 2 weeks before they hit the market.
Steve Jobs.
The original iPhones, that little
gosh.
silverback one.
Wow.
I still have
Wow.
mine. He gave me one. It was a 3G.
Oh,
Wow.
The
I don't think
original
anyone
one.
knows that.
Yeah, the
Wow.
original one. Matter of fact, I downloaded a bunch of movies and a bunch of music because he wanted to give one to his mother, and he wanted me to download a lot of pictures of her and the kids. I'm sorry, him and the kids, some movies and some music, and which I still have all of those on my playlist.
Do you still have some of his pictures, or did the estate get that, or like any of those downloaded pictures on your iPhones? Or did they go back, or?
The pictures that I have were of the kids.
Oh, okay.
That he met. These are pictures that he personally took
Oh.
of the kids, and he wanted me to download them to his phone to give to his mother.
Aw.
Oh.
And I still happen to have a couple of pictures on my
That's great.
in my files.
He was a big phone person, right? Like he had like, phone dates or whatever with people.
Talked on the phone a lot.
Talk on the phone a lot.
Oh yeah,
Prank
he talked
calls.
on the phone a lot. Yes. Yeah, but at night he would give me his phone
Right.
because if he didn't give it to me, it would ring all night.
Oh, okay.
Like when he went to bed, he would give me the phone, and I'll give it back to him in the morning because otherwise it would ring all night.
Did he really not sleep? I know in the book you mentioned sitting in your security trailer and you just see the light on in his bungalow.
He would sleep late, but there were nights he did not sleep.
Oh.
There were nights he did not sleep. I've noticed that he walking around. I seen him locking doors at night, still locking, checking doors while he was home.
Yeah.
But this was all new at the beginning of the journey. That he really didn't know me, and I really didn't know him. So, I mean, so there was a level of trust that needed to be built up.
Right.
So,
Yeah. He would check the doors and things at first, and then he trusted you enough to know you had it under control.
Right.
Not to worry. Okay.
Then it was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
It took a little while for him to get comfortable with me, but he did realize that I don't want to sound arrogant saying this, but he realized I wasn't someone to be fucked with.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
good.
Yeah. Contrast from
If you brought any negative intent in his direction, it would have been dealt with.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
I think he needed more of that in his life.
the contrast from his management saying, "Oh, you should just walk away," not caring about his safety whatsoever, to having you, who's your instinct is, "I'm going to protect this man and his kid."
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he reminded us too many times that John Lennon was killed by a fan.
Right.
So, but on the flip side, he would tell us, be nice to my fans. Well, it took time to weigh who was who meant well, who had good intentions, who had negative intentions. So it took time to view who's who, and it was hard. It was hard. There were some fans that were very familiar. There were some fans that I got to know. There were some fans that he would tell me to give my number to.
Wow.
I mean, he recognized people, Well, and we got to Vegas, times that we would leave the gate and leave the compound, and we'd be coming out, and he'll say, "Oh, I remember them from London. Oh, I remember that one right there from Japan. Oh, that one there, she was in Germany." He remembered these people.
Wow.
He had a hell of a memory. That I will say. He remembered a lot.
People
Very,
always say that.
he was
Yeah.
very smart. We drive down the strip, and he could tell you which hotel cost how much money to build and who built it.
Oh,
People don't even know. For those of you that's been to Vegas or seen the big waterfall display in front of the Bellagio,
yeah.
Yeah.
he was one of the creative consultants for that.
Wow.
You know,
really?
that is,
the dancing water, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
you
The
know, a lot of
volcano.
people don't know that he
Correct.
did a lot of the development, creative consulting in Las Vegas.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know.
That's why he loved it so much.
The volcano at the Mirage. He was creative consultant on that.
Wow.
The pirate show at the Treasure Island.
Mhm.
He was part of that. He didn't charge people to use his music.
That's right.
Okay.
We know that one of the magicians from Siegfried and Roy, that show, the Tiger
Yeah.
Magician show, he just passed away last night,
Yeah.
and Michael recorded a song for him to use for his opening act. It's called Mind in the Magic, and he let him use that for years until they closed in Vegas. So there's so much that people don't know, and because I think the allegations, the lies, they really overshadow so much of the good and the creativity and everything that he did.
Right.
And so that's why it's like I feel like I'm screaming constantly to get the word out on how creative and amazing and what a great person he was. And I just feel like it just never gets enough attention.
Right. It doesn't.
Was
Liz,
he-
I have
sorry.
no. Okay, real quick. I've got because I have to get ready to run. I have a few calls I need to make.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sure.
Oh, go ahead. Say what you're going to say. I'm good.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was just going to ask you, I know he was in love with magic and it seemed, did he have that? Did he still seem to have that awe, that wonderment of things?
Big magician fan. Huge.
Yeah.
We used to go to a magic store a lot. And he would get little things to do magic. You know, he would show us this. He would do magic at the worst damn time sometimes. I mean, we're out on a hotel. We got a whole bunch of fans screaming, people, cameras, media, and he'll act like nothing. And we're like trying to keep people back and at the last, but here he is over here, and he'll say, "Bill, watch this." You know, make a quarter disappear. I'm like, we ain't got no time for that shit. So he was that dude. So
Oh my
at the
gosh.
worst times, man. But yeah, ladies, I do need to go.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for responding and being
Yes.
We'll do this again.
We're going to share your book on our page. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank
And
you.
thank you and
Send me
good
an email.
night.
We'll talk again. We'll follow up.
We will. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.